Full and uncut versions available on Patreon. Check in the description below.
Well, hello there and greetings, Pokemaniacs! Duuz-Diz-Din back again with the final volume of the Pokemon Adventures manga. We now enter into Volume 6 of the X and Y storyline and the 61st volume overall. But last time, Tierno and Shauna had gone out looking for Megastones, using X and Y's Keystone. All the while, a savage battle between Y and Essentia took place, with Essentia trying to use a special ability of her suit called the Pokeball Jack in order to take control of Xerneas. After Y ends up in a Pokemon Center, she hands over her Pokemon to the nurse Joy, looking to have some of them heal, only for it to actually be Essentia in disguise. Next, Essentia appears to X in the guise of Y, but X is able to see through this disguise. Tierno and Shauna return with a now conscious Y, and handing over the Mega Rings and Mega Evolution Stones, X and Y are able to evolve their Pokemon, Mega evolve their Pokemon into Mega Pinsir and Mega Absol, while Essentia uses the controlled Xerneas to fight back. Meanwhile, Team Flare has found the ancient absorbers that AZ used long ago in order to power the ultimate weapon, but Jurassic also knows that Zygarde has stirred because of the movements of Yveltal and Xerneas. All the while, he's also monitoring what Essentia is up to against X and Y. But Essentia isn't having an easier time. Between Xerneas' lack of want to be controlled by her and his legendary status, it isn't easy goings, especially when Zygarde shows up. Essentia tries to use this moment to capture it, and while she does manage to do just that, he also has to quickly retreat because of an overlord in her suit, just as Blue and Diantha make the scene. But Jurassic isn't able to get in contact with Essentia because of the extensive damage. Where did she end up? But as everyone gathers and compares notes, Sycamore is contacted by Gina and Dexio, who have recovered information on where Team Flare is hiding out now. As X and the gang head over, they're accompanied by Blue, Diantha, and the remaining members of the Elite Four, naturally sans Malva, while Jurassic reports into Lysander. Lysander no longer wishes to put so much faith in the project behind Essentia, but Jurassic is determined to prove himself. Meanwhile, with our heroes, the remaining members of the Elite Four make themselves a distraction so X and the others can take on Team Flare. As they travel, Frogadier evolves into Greninja, having sensed something, splashing everyone in the face and ears with water, trying to warn them of an attack, but not a warning they can understand. Suddenly, Jurassic's Malamar uses hypnosis to put everyone to sleep, all except X, who kept the water in his ears, allowing him to fight off Malamar's hypnosis, with Greninja managing to get one over on Jurassic's Malamar. They're able to corner him, questioning why he didn't just wait for them to arrive at the Pokemon Village. And with all the other members of Team Flare battling against the remaining Elite Four members, we also see that deep inside the cave in the Pokemon Village is none other than Mewtwo, pretty incensed that his brother was attacked. What'll happen next? Join me as I find out, won't you? Alright, Pokemon Adventures X and Y, Volume 6. And already on this cover we have some of my favorite Pokemon. We've got Gyarados, we've got Mewtwo, and we've got Zygarde. And yet I'm not putting Zygarde up just yet. Why is that? If you know, you know. But a great cover with a freaking Lysander standing on high on his Mega Gyarados, and X overlooking Essentia unmasked? What could it mean? Why is her face not revealed? Why indeed, let's jump in. You got Mega Mewtwo X and Y. You can really see the favoritism when Pokemon has an X and Y Mega Evolution. And even in this last volume, it's only her Fletchinder that is actually, listed as one of her Pokemon. How odd. Alright, in the final roll call, the Mega Evolution successors. Blue is kind of excluded from that group. Weird. So is Blaine. Interesting. The Elite Four, excluding Malva, Pokemon Storage System Group, including Emma, Sycamore and his assistants, the 5 Friends of Vanillville Town, Mega Evolution Brothers, oh, that's funny, Team Flare and Essentia, Team Flare Scientific Team, Malva, Lysander. Okay, seems like I guess the gang's all here. I guess this means that the gym leaders no longer play a role in all of this, because they're the ones excluded except for Karina. All right, it's adventure number 40, Chestnut Protects. As Greninja keeps Sarosic at bay, X demands, answer me. What is going on at the Pokemon Village? What's there? But Malamar awakens and immediately goes on the attack. X notices this and manages to dodge out of the way. I guess it goes... Okay, I thought that was a panel, but no, that's Greninja's tongue. I think it's Greninja who manages to keep Malamar from really laying into X in that moment. Sarosic tries to escape, but X manages to slam down on him from behind, holding his head to the ground. He then demands, answer me. Sarosic says, fine, I'll tell you. The Pokemon Village is a mysterious, rarely visited location in the Kalos region. It's a special place populated by Pokemon only. There are no people there. Pokemon who have been badly mistreated by people gather there. You could call it a safe haven for Pokemon, which just continues to raise the question of why you guys are there. And the reason I came here is to regain Master Lysander's trust because he's mad at me. X questions, your master? You're afraid of Lysander? Sarosic says, afraid? Of course I'm afraid. You're just a child. You have your whole life ahead of you. You have no idea what it's like to fear not being able to continue your life's work. Ever since I can remember, I love to invent things. I was blessed with this talent, and my parents provided me with all the opportunities and financing I needed. My inventions were popular, and I attained great fame and wealth, but that wasn't what I wanted. Certain scientific experiments were considered taboo, like the ones that led to the creation of the ultimate weapon used by the King of Kalos 3,000 years ago. So, too, was research into mind control, turning people and Pokemon into puppets. But those type of scientific inquiries fascinated me. Curiosity kept me up at night. He and Colress are two of a kind, and that was when Master Lysander invited me to join Team Flare. Somehow he found out about my interests and proposed to support my research. Even after joining Team Flare, my ethics prevented me from diving too deep into those areas. But one day, we see Lysander approaching Sarosic. Lysander says, is that your Inkay? I can see it's about to evolve. Sarosic says, time of day, weather, items, trading. I've tried every possible method I could think of to evolve it. Lysander observed, yeah, wasn't there some special thing you had to do to get it to evolve, like turn your Game Boy upside down or something? And Lysander just turns it upside down and boom, it evolves. Lysander smiles, saying, when you're at a dead end, go in the other direction. Reverse what you're thinking. Up becomes down becomes up, black becomes white, light becomes shadow. The past becomes the future, and the weak become the strong. Sarosic says, I see. Lysander pauses for a moment, and then motions to a window. As they look out, Lysander tells Sarosic, what you believed yesterday can actually be turned on its head. Take a look, Sarosic, as they look down towards several homeless people, including what seems to be Emma. Lysander says, no matter how much we give to others, there will always be broken people and Pokemon cast out of society. We have to choose who is worthy of help and who isn't. Sarosic says, but that's immoral. Lysander tells him, think about it the other way around, Sarosic. We won't give equally to others. We'll just take equally from them. Just imagine, a pure and perfect Kalos, free of everything and everyone that troubles us. Wouldn't that be beautiful? Sarosic says, the worthy and the worthless need not subscribe to the same code of ethics. He opened my eyes. It was the greatest support he could give me, but now he's cutting me off from the resources for my research. I refuse to give up my intellectual freedom, he says, breaking free of X's grasp. He then commands Malamar, hypnosis, and he uses it towards Greninja, I think, but Greninja manages to dodge. X thinks to himself, I used Bubble to lower its speed, but shoot, his ability was contrary, and Croaky isn't my Pokemon. I can't draw out 100% of its strength. I need to use my own Pokemon. He then commands Greninja to use Double Team, and it does just that. Jurassic then says, "Gah, what a dirty trick." As X hides behind the copies of Greninja, he says, Croaky, wake everyone up while you can. Greninja uses its tongue on pretty much everyone, trying to wake them up, while Jurassic says, Malamar's moves keep missing the mark. Well, since I'm at a dead end, I guess I'll just use Topsy-Turvy then. And Malamar flips upside down, which allows it to get rid of all of the duplicates. Malamar then uses Hypnosis on Greninja, downing it. X calling out to it. X looks out to his sleeping Pokemon, thinking to himself, everyone's so deeply asleep, they aren't waking up. All I have left is, and he looks to his Charmeleon, still sulking. He thinks to himself, you're the only one who's not asleep. Please, Salome. He tries to bring Charmeleon out, but it doesn't work. X continues trying to open up the ball, thinking to himself, you're the only one I can count on for this battle. Come out! But Malamar slams into X's neck, causing him to start to black out, dropping the Pokeball. Jurassic looks to it saying, we still had another Pokemon left. Malamar, piece that Pokeball. Malamar tries to strike at the Pokeball, but it rolls out of the way. Jurassic grows angry as Malamar tries again and again, but the ball dodges each and every time, up until it hits a tree. Jurassic says, you certainly are a speedy little runt, but you can't escape me now. As X calls out for Salome, Malamar goes in for the strike, only for the Pokeball to be defended by Quilladin, much to X's surprise. He calls out, Marisa! He thinks to himself, Marisa is protecting Salome, even though it just woke up and can't move freely. Jurassic says, that Pokemon sacrificed itself to protect another Pokemon. That must mean this Pokemon is their trump card. Move aside. And he commands Malamar to use Night Slash. And though Quilladin is hit hard, it doesn't give an inch. Jurassic says, alright then, I'll cut both of you to pieces. And so, Malamar just keeps striking away, with Quilladin not giving an inch, as X watches on in disbelief. The now awake Trevor says, Mariso knows. That's why it sacrificed itself to protect Salome. X questions Trevor. Trevor says, they both came from Professor Sycamore's lab. They lived together there, got separated, reunited, and sat on a journey together. They've been by each other's side all this time, so Mary So knows that Salome is the key to this battle. That's why it's protecting Salome. And in an instant, Quilladin evolves into Chestnut, still protecting Charmeleon. X and Trevor watch on, while the Malamar then looks to Jurassic saying, it even evolved to keep protecting that other Pokemon, but it doesn't have much strength left. Keep attacking it. Malamar has this look like, can I stop now? But it just keeps going. And eventually, Chestnut has no choice but to relinquish the Pokeball. Jurassic picks it up saying, perfect. It fainted and let go of the Pokeball. But then he looks and sees the Pokeball is empty, and then a bright flame appears on the other side of Chestnut, and Charmeleon stands at the ready. Trevor says, Salome. X says, you finally made up your mind, haven't you? Charmeleon gives a nod. The others start to stir, while questioning, what do you mean, X? X says, Salome was worried, no, afraid. Kanga, Elect, Garma. Salome saw their megastone shine brightly in Anastar City. It must have been scared the same thing would happen to it. Trevor says, you mean Salome? Charizard has a Mega Evolution form too? But Charizard aren't on the Team Flares list. X says, right, but I had a strong suspicion that they should have been. And like you said, Trevor, Marisol, Salome's childhood friend who battled with it so many times, thought so too. Salome has always been a bit uncoordinated and lacking in confidence. Then it got intimidated by the power and brashness of Blue's Charizard, and was afraid it wasn't fit to become a Charizard, let alone Mega Evolve. But Marisol evolved itself to protect Salome, and that inspired Salome to evolve into a Charizard, and even a Mega Charizard. Oh, I love that you can see the shadow of it behind Charizard. Oh, speaking of which, got a picture of Charizard there, gotta include it. Jurassic questions, is this some sort of joke? You're saying our list wasn't complete? Even if you're right, your Charizard can't Mega Evolve without the right Mega Stone, and I'll defeat it before you find one. But X tells him there's no need to find one. Sean asks, what are you saying? X asks them, why do you think I was so positive that Salome could Mega Evolve? From the moment I met Salome, it's been holding its tail. Doesn't everyone keep their valuables close so that they won't get lost or stolen? Is there a Mega Stone in its tail? What? Everyone is shocked. Hell, Jurassic says, don't you owe me? What are you talking about? I want to know too. X turns to Salome, and Salome blows out its tail where there is a Mega Stone on the end in the fire. Holy crap, are you kidding me? I thought it was just some nervous thing that it did. Jurassic screams in terror. Oh, meanwhile, we see the scientific team of Team Flare all at the ready. Huh. It's been a while since we've seen them all together. Okay, let me see if I can get this right. Shaloja says, looks like the Vanderbilt children's teamwork is improving by leaps and bounds. Mabel says, it appears we greatly underestimated them. Byrony says, this is no time for us to try to outdo each other. While Aliana says, yes, maybe it's time we showed them our teamwork. And I think it's Byrony says, we'll go to Jurassic. While Mabel says, and crush them all. I think I got it right. Huh. I actually remembered all their names. Current location, Route 18. Valet El Troy Way. El Troy Way, I think? I don't know. This path is best known for its trolley, once used for the coal mine, and the curious inverse battle house. Inverse battle house. Okay, I'll take your word for it. All right, next is adventure number 41. Charizard transforms. Wait a minute. Has that always been there? Has Zygarde always been here? How long has Zygarde been there? I'm just now noticing Zygarde now in the picture. Oh man, why does it keep sneaking up on me? I don't know. Did I not scroll down at the beginning of the last chapter? How many chapters has it been like this? Okay. We pick up with Y saying, a Megastone on the tip of its tail? You mean Charizard has already found its Megastone by the time we first met? And it's been carrying it around ever since? X says, Elect managed to find its main site, Manectite. There you go. By itself too. I don't know why I had trouble with that. But Jurassic says, so what? We haven't found any signs of a Charizard Mega evolving in our research. There's no proof that it can. But the now awake Blue says, I've got your proof. Jurassic says, you're awake. Fine, let's see your supposed proof. Blue says here, pulling out a keystone wrapped around his necklace, and showing that his Charizard also has a Mega Evolution Stone on the tip of its tail. In the flame. Y says, a Mega Stone. And Trevor says, and a Keystone. You're a Mega Evolution successor too, Blue? Yeah, they didn't actually know that. I forgot. Trevor says, but Salome's Mega Stone and this Mega Stone are different colors. X is kind of shocked to see that. Well, Jurassic says, then I guess one or maybe neither is really Charizard's Mega Stone. Crobat, get them! And he unleashes 4 Crobat upon the team. X's Charmeleon and Blue's Charizard combat them, as well as the Malamar. X rushes in, with Y calling out to X. Blue says, Y and X and I will keep Jurassic busy. You take the others and head for Pokemon Village. Or was he supposed to be saying, Y, X and I feel like that might be a typo. If he's trying to keep us away from the village, that must mean something really important is going on there. Y says, will do. Wake up, Croaky. And she uses, I guess, Awaken or whatever to wake up her Greninja. She then commands it to use Smokescreen. And as Jurassic flails around saying, you little brats, the others sneak away in the Smokescreen. Oh, and then suddenly Salome evolves into Charizard. Jurassic says, it evolved? Everyone is evolving. Only for him to get a call on his headset. Aliana's voice coming through. Aliana here. Jurassic says, I'm a little busy at the moment. Aliana says, I know that. Oh, we can see them all overhead above Y's group, with Aliana saying, but did you know that 4 children are heading to the village inside of a Smokescreen? Jurassic says, what? Aliana says, I'll get rid of them. Jurassic says, get rid of? But what about your mission? Aliana says, you mean my mission to transport the source of life forces? Because we're here because we've already done that, obviously. Anyway, we'll take care of things. Jurassic says, Okay, thanks. See, I love the begrudging teamwork going on between them. And so, the scientists swoop down, managing to pick everyone off, specifically Tierno, Shauna, and Trevor, unbeknownst to Y, who turns, calling out to her friends, hearing nothing but the rustling of the leaves. But the thing she does see is something about to strike right at her face. Meanwhile, as Blue's Charizard holds off the Crobat, X's Charizard is fighting Malamar. But X seems to be stuck, thinking to himself about something. Blue questions, what's wrong? Your Charizard, Salome, is waiting to Mega Evolve. X thinks to himself, that's right, of course. Salome found the Megastone on its own and has been safeguarding it all this time. That's more than enough proof that the Megastone is Charizardite. Salome's made up its mind to come out of its Pokeball. I have to be worthy of my Pokemon's resolve. If I don't take this opportunity to defeat Jurassic and Team Flare now, they'll destroy our happy new life. Blue gives a smile, and he actually puts on his Keystone ring. And in unity, both Blue and X say, light of my Keystone and the light of my Charizardite, merge, go. They activate their Keystone. With Blue's Charizard Mega evolving into Mega Charizard Y, while X's Charizard Mega evolves into Mega Charizard X. Meanwhile, Y manages to dodge out of the way of Aliana's Diggersby? Yeah, Diggersby, before it strikes her. Aliana laughs. I missed. Y says, Aliana, guys, are you alright? And her voice just echoes, alright, right? Only for her to hear Shauna shouting, of course I'm not alright, but I am not going to lose, especially to her. He says, facing off against Celosia and her Doublade. Okay. That took me off guard because I'm like, wait a minute. That's not what she's had before. Meanwhile, Tierno says, that's right. We can't lose this fight. As Tierno's Corphish is fighting off Mabel's Houndoom. Corphish dodges out of the way of Houndoom, knocking it in the head. Mabel's questioning, how can somebody so big be so fast? Meanwhile, Trevor and his Flabebe have been cornered by Byrony and her Bisharp. Trevor says, the others are giving this their all. I have to do my best too. But Byrony says, no, I won't let you get in our way this time. Not you or the Overseer. Oh, they don't know that they don't have Zygarde. Trevor says, what? But the Overseer was captured by Essentia and taken to Team Flare. Byrony says, what? Trevor says, huh? Trevor says, what do you mean this time? Byrony says, huh? Well, Trevor says, don't tell me. You're going to try to use the ultimate weapon again. Bisharp goes to attack, but Flabebe, I guess, does Petal Dance? Causing Petals to mask their escape. As Trevor says, I have to tell them, I have to warn the others, as he scampers away. Meanwhile, we see several Crobat get very crispy, extra crispy, in the flames of Mega Charizard's X and Y, as well as Jurassic's Malamar. He says, both Charizard have Mega Evolved into two different forms? I can't believe that Team Flare, with all our scientific prowess, didn't discover that they could do that. How could we have missed this? As Jurassic sulks, Blue says, if you're too arrogant to honestly examine both your strengths and weaknesses, you're bound to fall short eventually. Exton says, come on, let's go, Blue, as they both hop on their Charizards, flying off into the distance. That's gotta metal. As X overlooks the forest, he sees the battle between Y and Aliana. He tells Blue, look, it's Y, and that's one of the scientists from Team Flare. Blue then says, hey, and points down to Trevor, who is kind of backed into a corner by Bisharp. X heads down, saying, they were headed for the village. The scientists must have stopped them. Blue says, I'm on it. As Blue and Mega Charizard X dive down, Charizard X blasts Bisharp off the cliff while picking up Trevor in the process. Trevor says, X, you must be Salome, he says, looking at Charizard. Wow, you Mega Evolved. X says, where are Tierno and Shauna? Trevor says, I don't know. We got separated by Mabel and Celosia, I think. We have a problem, X. Team Flare might be planning to use the ultimate weapon again, but they haven't captured Zygarde yet. X is shocked by this, only to see something shining in the distance that comes crashing down into the forest, causing a billowing of smoke. They then see Blue and Mega Charizard Y emerge from the smoke. Trevor calling out, Blue! Only for us to see Blue and Mega Charizard Y facing off against Yveltal. Why did, I'm forgetting her name all of a sudden, Malva arrive on the scene? Well, X says, Yveltal, as Yveltal gets ready to attack again, I think? It unleashes, I think, an attack against Mega Charizard Y. No. Something comes from underneath, blocking off Yveltal's attack against Charizard. And it's Y on the back of Xerneas. He calls out to Blue, are you okay? Blue says, I was going to help you, but it ended up being the other way around. Xerneas tells him, stand back. This isn't a battle that humans can partake in. Y flies away on Fletchinder, saying, understood, Zerzer, and they get some distance as Xerneas and Yveltal engage in battle. Y questions, was that the ultimate weapon? Trevor says, probably. Was that the ultimate weapon? What is that? Oh, the firing from before. Oh, okay. I guess it was such on such a smaller scale. I just thought that was Yveltal's attack. X says, but what about the life force they need to power it? Xerneas and Yveltal are both here. I'm not sure who's talking, but Zerzer destroyed their absorber. So where are they going to get the life force energy they need to power the ultimate weapon? I says, hey, Rut's rival, that other Scyther, and the wild Pokemon Sean and Tino saw at Route 19. They all had their life force taken from them, didn't they? Each of those oh my god, I just realized what they're doing. That's messed up. That's why they went to the Pokemon Village. It didn't even dawn on me like that. I just thought the Pokemon were casualties. But no, they were thrown in that ditch because they were all used up. That's kind of gross. Man, Team Fly, you get grosser by the second. It's bad enough everything you're trying to do, but the way you're doing it is super gross. Screw these guys. And man, Team Plasma was already just really messed up, but Davis. First says each of those Pokemon only has a small life force, and if they put a lot of them together. X says, I heard that Pokemon Village is a place where mistreated Pokemon gather, which means the reason they went to Pokemon Village must have been to collect a whole lot of life forces. Gee. When we pick up at Route 10, Menhai Trail, where we see Team Flare grunts putting Pokemon next to the various rocks in the absorber. The whole process overlooked by Delphox? Oh, I guess Malva's Brixian evolved. And that Pokemon is just going through evolution after evolution behind the scenes. Then again, considering Malva's position in the hierarchy of the Kalos region, I guess it makes sense. Oh, is that Shauna's Furfrou? And it recognizes Delphox as the Pokemon that was with Trevor. Furfrou tries to call out to Delphox, but Delphox just kinda ignores it. Dang, brutal. We then cut to somewhere, I guess the streets back in Anistar City, I think? I'm not sure. Where Essentia is writhing on the ground saying, ugh, my head hurts. It hurts. Oh, current location. Okay, I already went through that last time. I'm not going through it again. Okay, next is adventure number 42. Yveltal steals. Yveltal no swiping. Alright, we pick up with X and the gang as well as Blue, overlooking the battle between Xerneas and Yveltal. Yveltal unleashes a devastating blast. Xerneas withstands it, but Y calls out, the plateau has turned into a desert. It's just like Vanderbilt Town. That move is called Oblivion Wing. Trevor questions, you know it? X says, was it in Alexa's article? Y says, uh-huh. That's where I read about it. Use it to attack Xerneas, and then Xerneas will absorb its own life force to heal itself. The heck? Yveltal flies up and then I'm not sure what it does. Trevor says it disappeared. Xerneas looks around. Oh, did it like teleport? And as Yveltal reappears, I think it uses its tail to slam into Xerneas. Blue says, Phantom Force. Trevor questions, why? Will Zerzer be okay? Yveltal seems to be attacking it harder. Has it recovered enough yet? What do you think, Y? Y says, how should I know? So a voice calls out, what are you doing? Don't worry about me, just hurry up and get to Pokemon Village. Yveltal calls out, and then reinvigorates the land, growing a massive forest where the desert once was, much to the shock of everyone else. Xerneas tells Y, when Yveltal steals life, I bestow life. And when I bestow life, Yveltal steals it. That is what we do. Blue says, a perfect equilibrium of power. No wonder the battle between them is said to be never-ending. X takes a moment, then says, questions, we support Zerzer now. With all our force. The balance of power will tilt to our side, right? Xerneas tells him no. Don't forget that the ultimate weapon is being reactivated. Our priority is to stop that from occurring. Fighting this battle can wait. Y says, okay, Zer. He turns, saying, X and Blue, you two head for the village ahead of us, okay? X nods. He then says, I can't leave Tierna and Shauna alone, so I'll stay here. Oh yeah, they're still in the forest, my god. Trevor then questions, by the way, where's Diantha? Blue tells him, don't worry. After she woke up, I sneaked her out of the battle against Erosic and told her to go to the village, too. As Blue and X mount their Charizards, X says, okay then, Y, Trevor, take care of Shauna and Tierna. Y says, will do, and good luck. And X and Blue take off. Meanwhile, in the forest, Diantha sees this, saying to Charizard, it must belong to Blue and X. They're headed for the Pokemon village. Too bad for you. You held me up here and attacked them with Yveltal, but it was all in vain. Malva, we see with Malva walking from behind Diantha as her Talonflame threatens Diantha. Speaking of which, Talonflame, one of my favorite Pokemon. Mostly because Ash had one, but I also had one in I think Sun and Moon for a while. It was one of my best Pokemon. I didn't keep it throughout the whole game, but it was a pretty heavy hitter. Malva says, you never know. They might be in for a pleasant surprise when they arrive at Pokemon Village. Diantha questions this, as Malva says, if you seriously think Talonflame is pointing its wing at you just to keep you here, then you're an optimist. Its blazing hot razor wings are poised to defeat you, you know. Goodbye, she says, having Talonflame seemingly cut off Diantha's head. Jesus, I don't think that's the case, but still. We then back up with Blue and X flying over a city. Blue says, we've just flown past Snowbell City. That means we're almost at Pokemon Village now. So X thinks to himself, I don't get it. Xerneas and Yveltal are wielding their power and fighting. So why hasn't Zygarde appeared? Xerneas told me, and he will remember Xerneas' words. It appears to stop me from using my power. X thinks in Anistar City. If Cher's speculation is correct and T-Flare hasn't captured Zygarde, then why? As they arrive at the Pokemon Village, Blue questions, is this Pokemon Village? Jurassic said it's populated by Pokemon who have been mistreated by humans. I don't see a single Pokemon here. X then calls out for Blue, as they spot several Team Flare grunts all strewn out over a campsite. X questions, who could have done this? Blue has no answer, but suddenly, something comes rushing towards them. They barely notice in time as Blue calls out for X. Oh, it's Mewtwo! As in an instant, Blue and X unleash their Pokemon, Chestnut and Rhyperior. Blue questions, what the? As a blank expression Mewtwo slams into the two Pokemon. X says, it attacked us, Marisa. Blue says, wait, I didn't expect to see you in Kalos. X questions, do you know that Pokemon? Blue says, yeah. We joined forces in a battle in the Sevi Islands in the Kanto region. That's genetic Pokemon, Mewtwo. Blue X questions, you mean this one is on our side? Blue says, Mewtwo, you remember me? It's me, Blue, a Kanto Pokedex holder. But Mewtwo doesn't respond, as it connects its two psychic spoons, getting ready to unleash a psychic whirlwind. Blue says, oh, this is bad. Move back, X. But it's too late, as they're all caught up in the vortex. Both X and Blue thrown off their Pokemon, and they hit the ground hard. Enter Lysander aboard his Gyarados, saying, how convenient. I didn't have to do a thing. It got rid of the intruders for me. X calls out Lysander, while Blue questions, sure, you're the one controlling Mewtwo. Lysander says, Mewtwo, the legendary Pokemon who protected this village. X question, protected? Lysander explains, we entered this village and proceeded to make ourselves at home, but the Pokemon inhabitants didn't run or hide from us. Didn't you find that odd? These Pokemon have a history of being mistreated by humans, yet they did not fear. Eventually I detected a presence, a guardian of sorts, who was protecting this village and the Pokemon who lived there. Oh, okay. It's kind of like in, I know there was one anime where Mewtwo did have a whole village it was looking over, but I think that was like in the second appearance of Mewtwo after the movie it was in. How convenient. But the presence didn't reveal itself to us until last night. Blue questions, last night? You caught all the Pokemon who lived here and took them to the ultimate weapon, didn't you? That's why Mewtwo is so angry. Lysander doesn't respond, but the look in his eyes says it all. Blue questions, I'm right, aren't I? Lysander says, huh, so what if you're right? There's nothing you can do about it now. Mewtwo has fought my Gyarados, Pyroar, and Mainfu, but it still has the strength to continue fighting. Do you truly imagine the likes of you can beat it? Mewtwo sends up several energy blasts. Lysander says, I hope you put up a good fight and wear Mewtwo out, because I plan to catch it and add it to my Pokemon after you lose. The blasts then begin to rain down upon Blue and Axis and their Pokemon. Blue calls out Psystrike. X tells Chestnut, Mariso, Spiky Shield. Lysander looks on with glee as Mewtwo commands the blasts to redirect and go for Lysander. Lysander is hurt pretty bad as he says, Mewtwo, why? As something within Mewtwo begins to shine. X says that light as Mewtwo Mega Evolves into Mega Mewtwo Y. Lysander says, what? X says Mega Evolution. But Blue says, can Mewtwo do that? But we see a figure on the horizon. As Lysander says, I see, its trainer is here. Oh yes, Lysander says that means, and he presses a button on the device. We cut over to Campfire Town, Cassius's house, where one of his crew calls out, hey Cassius, hey. Oh, the one Cassius gang member with the pigtails, which is actually kind of funny because I've recently found out that Cassius and the one girl with pigtails look just like the members of the Lumio City gang, who are usually at like the forefront of everything. Like completely just like them. It's kind of weird. Like the people that you usually fight in the games. I'd have caught that if I had actually played the games. And the one with pigtails says, Emma logged into her Pokemon storage. Cassius says, what the? You determined the location? The smaller one with pigtails says, near Route 22. She took the Pokemon she put into her storage box a few days ago. Zygarde? Cassius questions, where is she? And what in the world is she up to? Let's go to Route 22. Maybe we can find Emma there. The others say, okay, as they hop in their mystery machine and head off. Meanwhile, Lysander's Pokemon, namely Pyroar and Mainfu, are battling against Mega Mewtwo Y. Blue says, this Pokemon is incredibly fast. But suddenly, they're shaken up by a rumbling from underneath the ground. And suddenly, Zygarde appears! Because that's the thing it just does. It either appears without notice, or it makes a grand entrance. Oh, okay, that's the end of the chapter, okay? Things just keep happening. I kind of love it. Weird, but I don't know. I feel like we're really rushing towards the conclusion at this point. Like, no wonder none of the gym leaders are kind of involved in this, because things are just, and then this happened, and this. There's really no time to gather up anybody else. All right, and the last chapter of this video is adventure number 43. Mewtwo Angered. Oh, you never want to do that. Oh, and atop of Zygarde is Essentia. Blue says, Zygarde. X says, Essentia. So she managed to capture Zygarde and Anastar City. Why didn't Byrony know about it? While Lysander says, Essentia captured Zygarde and stored it in the Pokemon storage system. That's why we couldn't find it anywhere. X questions, was it Essentia acting under orders from your organization? Lysander says without looking at him, because he's too busy with the battle against Mewtwo, that scientist Xerosic still has a useless shred of compassion left inside him. The test subject inside the expansion suit is placed in a hypnotic state, and the suit's AI follows orders from Xerosic. There's a limit to how long a subject can stay inside the expansion suit before it puts too much of a strain on their body and mind, and the hypnosis begins to lose its effect after multiple uses of the suit. The test subject has now regained consciousness, and Essentia will no longer follow our orders. Consequently, I remove that restriction. Now I have the power to control even a single finger of her body, and that is how I found out that Essentia stored Zygarde in the Pokemon storage system. Now Essentia has become an invaluable asset that will follow every order I give it, even if the test subject inside starts to deteriorate. Again, Eric! Isn't the power of technology amazing? X is utterly pissed by this, as a voice calls out from behind him. There's a saying that goes, educate men without faith, and you make of them but clever devils. Ooh, that's actually a good saying. That scientist Zerosic still has an opportunity to turn back as Blaine enters into the battle. His keystone on the end of his cane. Blue says, I knew it. You came to Kalos too. Blaine explains, I got information on it from Corina's Mega Evolution brothers. I too am a Mega Evolution successor, but I never expected to see my brother this enraged. As a man who once was one of those clever devils, and as a patron of the sciences, I cannot allow science to be used for evil. So let us cooperate. Blue says, deal. X is just looking all like, I have no idea who you are, buddy, but let's go. Lysander simply shakes his head, saying, Zygarde, Land's wrath, he says into his device. And Essentia repeats, saying, Zygarde, Land's wrath. And Zygarde does just that, unleashing the wrath of the earth upon our heroes, burying them in rubble. Meanwhile, on Route 22, the Torner Way, Cassius's mystery machine starts to shake from the rumbling of the earth. As they say, whoa! The gang member with the pigtail says, look, Cassius. Cassius looks out the window saying, what the heck is that? No, seriously. That's coming from Route 20. Let's check it out. Huh? What about... Oh, no, I guess the one with pigtail says it's coming from Route 20. Let's check it out. While Cassius says, huh? What about searching for Emma? No, seriously. Meanwhile, we see that when Diantha was about to have her head cut off by Talonflame's wings, it was stopped by her Gardevoir. Nice. Malva chuckles. So you set up a Pokeball under your foot in advance. Which, that is kind of insane, but okay. Diantha says a trainer once did this to get out of a pinch. Is she talking about Chris? That trainer's best friend often spoke about it. Or, I feel like this is a reference to something that I should remember, but I don't. I'm sorry. After all this time, I don't remember. It seems like something maybe Green would do? It's hard to say. Diantha says that was a long time ago. Though, as she reaches for her neck, she's shocked to realize something. As Malva holds up Diantha's keystone, saying, I wonder if this is what you're looking for. Now I can use Mega Evolution just like Master Lysander. As she's then taken skyward by her Talonflame, Diantha then says, Gardevoir, we have to go after them. And I guess using its psychic ability, Diantha is taken into the air by Gardevoir. Meanwhile, Y and Trevor are racing on the back of Y's Absol next to Y Savalion. They're calling out for Tierno and Shauna. But suddenly, the ground beneath them is very muddy. They're then confronted by Aliana and Byrony. And is that Pumpkaboo or? Yeah, Pumpkaboo. Pumpkaboo. Yeah, I actually got the name right. I didn't know if I actually was going to get that. Is that Aliana's Pumpkaboo? I think so. So we got Aliana and her Pumpkaboo and Diggersby, while Byrony has her Bisharp. Aliana says, you came back. Thanks for saving us the effort of looking for you. Y has her Silvally use Disarming Voice as Salvalion on Pumpkaboo, knocking it back. Pumpkaboo looks pissed as Aliana says, not bad, but how about this? And she has Pumpkaboo use Seed Bomb, blasting back Savalion. Aliana says, Diggerbee used Rototiller on the ground beforehand to make that attack more powerful. Though Trevor says, in that case, Flabebe, Razor Leaf, which he unleashes on Diggersby, downing it instantly. Aliana says, huh? Y says, wow, Trevor. Yeah, that's actually pretty impressive. Trevor says, Rototiller raises the attack of all grass-type Pokemon, so I thought it would work for me too. Oh, and then it looks like Flabebe evolves into Floetta? Or Floette? Yeah, Trevor says, Flabebe evolved into a Floette, but I hardly ever fight. The others always protect me. So how did my Pokemon? But Y slaps him on the back, saying, what are you talking about? Who retrieved Mnectite from Tyrant? Who blew away Lysander to remove the key from the ultimate weapon? Who managed to get through Master Gherkin's train to the very end? You and your Flabebe have been fighting hard all along. You're a much stronger trainer than you think, Trevor. See, that goes out to all the people who are probably out there who think Trevor's useless. Like, look, man, he may be the Krillin, but Krillin always pulls through when you really need him. Trevor blushes a little and says, thank you. Thanks, Y. You're really building up my confidence. Y says, oh? Trevor says, I guess I'll mop up these two then. You should go to X. I'm sure he could use your help. Trevor, I'm glad you got a lot of confidence, but I don't think you can do a 2v1. Like, you're capable, more capable than you think, but why not saying, well, okay then, but if you think you're in danger, hide. In serious danger, hide. Trevor says, don't worry, I'm good at that. As Y flies away on her, more than likely Fletchinder. We then cut over to where Zygarde has raised the earth and, leaving even Lysander's Pokemon buried. My god. Yeah, it looks like Blue's seriously injured. One of the Charizards, as Chestnut is trying to help them out under the rubble. Even Blaine. While Mewtwo is just looking into the sky, kind of in a trance. Lysander says, huh? Mewtwo stopped. He then looks to Blaine, saying, could it be that? And he has Gyarados blasts Blaine, and Mewtwo feels the impact. Mewtwo falls out of his Mega Evolution. As Lysander says, Mewtwo's Mega Evolution got cancelled out somehow. Interesting. This fellow is completely synchronized with Mewtwo. Zygarde, camouflage. He says into the device, causing Essentially to say, Zygarde, camouflage. And Zygarde hides. Oh, it has a camo ability. I did not know that. X says it disappeared. While Blue says, not only can it change its Pokemon type, it can literally hide in its environment. Mewtwo looks around, while Blaine calls out to Mewtwo. Mewtwo looks to him, giving a nod. As it switches out a Megastone, I guess. Lysander commands Crunch, while Blaine says, the light of my Mewtwo Knight X and the light of my Keystone shall merge. And essentially commands Zygarde to use Crunch. And Zygarde tries to do just that on Mewtwo, but it's stopped as Mewtwo Mega Evolves into Mega Mewtwo X. I'm gonna be real, I don't really care for either transformation. It's the transformations that I care for the least. Blue says, Mewtwo Mega Evolved into a different form. While X says, but it's the same Mewtwo. Blaine explains, Mega Evolution can only be used once in battle with one Keystone. However, there's a part of me inside my brother, and a part of my brother that remains inside of me. And that unique relationship enables us to switch out Mewtwo's Mega Evolution. That's kinda cool. A form of Mega Evolution that specializes in physical attacks, Lysander says. But even with that power, the best it can do is block itself from my attack. As we see Mewtwo struggling against the force of Zygarde. 50% Zygarde notes. Lysander says, I clearly have the upper hand. X then looks over to the dazed Essentia. He thinks to himself, Essentia isn't behaving like she usually does. Lysander's control must be taking a toll on her. If I destroy the suit now, I might be able to block his commands from reaching Zygarde. Now's my chance. He commands Chestnut to unleash a blast upon Essentia's helmet, knocking her out. X says, I did it. But then he notices that Zygarde has not let up. X says, no, the expansion suit is still active. We'll blast her from up close again. He says, hopping onto the back of Chestnut. So Lysander commands his Gyarados to attack, which sends Chestnut and X flying. X hits the ground hard. But suddenly, something slashes Gyarados in the face. X is shocked as he sees Absol taking on Gyarados, as Y flies overhead with her Fletchinder. He says, So, why? Thanks, now I can. But as he makes his way over to Essentia, shocked, barely getting out the words, what? As he sees Emma lying on the ground. His legs give out as he hits the ground. But Y notices something else flying overhead. She says, is that Diantha and Malva? She says, watching Diantha give chase to Malva. Ooh, nice. Y has her Fletchinder send out a fiery blast right at Malva's hand, causing her to drop Diantha's Keystone, which lands right next to Blue. Blue sees it, saying, this belongs to Diantha, as he sees the battle overhead. He thinks for a moment and then says, Mega Evolution can only occur once in a battle, with one Keystone. This might just be our secret to victory. What is he thinking? Meanwhile, X is over Emma, calling out her name. Emma! That's weird. Her eyes are open. Emma, you have to get out of that suit. Isn't there a switch or something? But as he reaches for her, Emma stops him, saying, I won't take it off. X questions, what are you saying? You probably weren't aware of it because you were hypnotized, but Team Flare has been using you. But Emma smiles, saying, I know. I'm aware of everything I've done in this suit. X is shocked. Emma explains, saying, But my whole life I've been scared. Even when I was at home, before I lived on the streets, people were mean to me. No one helped me, even when I begged for help. But as long as I'm wearing this suit, I'm not afraid. I can do anything. So there's no way I'm going to take it off. Exit shouts, but we have to defeat Team Flare. Emma then questions, if we do that, will people stop being mean to me? If we defeat Team Flare, will people be nice to me? Oof, that is, I don't have the words for how I feel about that right now. X pretty much has the same feeling running through his head, like, what do I even say to that? Because, really, what will it change for her? Hey. As Y catches up to Diantha, calling out to her. Diantha says, thanks, but stay out of this. As the champion of Kalos, I have to end this battle myself, she says, facing off with Malva. Dang, what a place to end that. And that whole situation with Emma got me feeling a lot more emotional than I thought I would. But, that's the thing. We as people do have a tendency to overlook those who are kind of suffering for our own benefit. But man, the way it's being called out here is just, oh man. Because this is probably the first time Pokemon has really addressed like a homeless situation to this degree. Abusive relationship with one's parents and stuff. I mean, you usually get it with Pokemon, but very rarely with people to this extent. Man, and even getting a little bit of Zarasik's bad story. Because it's like, that's the thing. You have these intrusive thoughts that are not kind or not really good, and you don't act on them. But to have someone come in and say, no, I want you to act on these terrible impulses you have and not seek proper help. And shoot, I don't know if I should feel sympathetic to Zarasik or not. Probably not, but at the same time, like, he might not have turned out as bad as he did if not for Lysander stoking those worst impulses of the dude. Man, but I'm glad that Trevor actually got to show off a little bit. I feel like him taking on both Byrony and Aliana is a little bit much, but shoot, if Floetta now can actually really strut itself continually, cool. It was also nice to see both X and Blue with their two Mega Evolved Charizards in their different forms. That was kind of cool. And Blaine being able to just switch between the two forms? I mean, because otherwise you'd have to bring in another Mewtwo, which is what the anime did. Multiple Mewtwo's, but, with this, it's just like, dude, Blaine always getting to have the cool moments. That's what's up. That's what's up. And Charizard, Salome getting to really strut its own stuff. That is cool. And the revelation that it had a friggin' Mega Evolution Stone on its tail this entire time. That is wild. I do have to wonder if that was always the plan, though. What does Charizard do with it when it dozes? Try to keep that Mega Evolution Stone safe. But this is a good moment for X's friends to really do what they can do. Because usually what they'd be doing would be handed over to like the gym leaders or something along those lines. But with everything they've been through, it makes sense for X's friends to be taking on the scientific team, especially considering it was that team who also, laid siege essentially to their hometown and did so many terrible things to them along the way. They're finally getting their get back. And even if they don't completely take them down, the fact that they're able to actually fight back even to some degree is kind of nice. I do wonder about Malva's Delphox though. Is it just rolling with what Malva does? Does it not care? It's really kind of hard to say at this point. And Mewtwo not really getting to interact. So has Mewtwo just been in this Pokemon village that entire time? Was it like, so when it was blasted by the unleashing of Darkrai, was it blasted off to the Kalos region? Because again, it's been gone for so long. Like, okay, look, let me see if I can at least, so Darkrai is unleashed as Surge trying to capture Deoxys. Everyone jumps in the way of the beam. The Dex holders are turned to stone. Mewtwo isn't. We just don't know what happens to Mewtwo. Mewtwo had actually clashed with Darkrai, and the clash turned everyone to stone. No, Mewtwo had chased after Surge though, and then we just didn't know. So by all accounts, we should find out that Surge is somewhere here in the Kalos region, because then again, this would have been where Surge had lost him, or maybe maybe Mewtwo was just roaming. It's really hard to say. But the battle is winding down. Zygarde is on a rampage, Yveltal is stuck fighting Xerneas and vice versa, and we got the final showdown between Malva and Diantha. Everything's coming to a head, so let me know your thoughts on these chapters in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and hope to see you later. So then, take care. Bye-bye.